Welcome. This is the second part of the recap of Manhua. Back to the city, the strongest investment king. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell icon for future updates. I also hope you leave a comment with requests and suggestions for future updates. Alexel gloats over Yan Mu's defeat, stating that Yan thought he was powerful and that she was going to take everything he took from Ma. The next day, in a hotel room, Yan wakes up to a lady screaming at him, who slaps him and accuses him of doing perverted things to her. Yan contemplates having dinner with Alexel the previous night and was confused as to how he ended up in bed with this lady. Apparently he knew this lady from before. Anne, the lady in question, in a theatric Oscar-worthy performance. Yes, that kind of performance. Narrates how Yan Mu texted her to come over and she, thinking he had something for her, naively fell into his trap, making sure to call Yan Mu a beast in the process. Yan Mu calls after her as she runs off in her performance. He smiles to himself and decides to play along since she chose to wage war against him. At a coffee shop, Ma and Alexel are having a discussion when they are joined by Anne. She states that her mission was accomplished and that she has the photos in her phone. Alexel commends her and instructs her to leave first and await her contact. As Anne departs, Alexel warns her to safeguard the photos and threatens her, mentioning her father, who purportedly lay bedridden in a hospital. Anne confirms her understanding of the situation and leaves. Ma is impressed by Alexel's ruthless methods and tenacity and commends her for it. Alexel in turn states that Yan Mu was the one who bore his fangs at her by being ungrateful, and she was only operating to claim what rightfully belongs to her. Ma agrees, saying he has no issue with the 30 million ending up in Alexel's hand instead of Yan Mu. They finalize their meeting and depart, Alexel vowing to make Yan Mu know what the taste of being used is like. Later, in the hotel lobby, Ma and Alexel confront Yan, claiming they were seeking justice for an innocent girl he assaulted. Yan denies his involvement in any sexual assault, insisting he is an upright citizen. Alexel chips in, berating Yan and accusing him of standing her up to chase after another woman. Ma was ecstatic in that moment, revealing that the authorities had already been alerted and were en route. He pressed Yan Mu to plead with him, hinting that he might contemplate rescuing him from the predicament. Gesturing toward a nearby cluster of reporters, he exclaimed about the presence of the press there to cover the unfolding events. Ma emphasized the potential ruin of Yan Mu's life should the matter be exposed publicly. Yan nonchalantly asked if they took him for an idiot, which prompted Alexel to observe the situation a bit more critically, causing her to realize the reporters were covering her and Ma instead of Yan Mu. However, Ma remained oblivious and persisted in attempting to intimidate Yan. Yet, Yan interrupted him, asserting his desire to receive a phone call. He puts his phone on loudspeaker and Anne's voice could be heard on the other side. She discloses how Ma Don and Alexel blackmailed her into trying to frame Yan Mu, threatening to eliminate her father if she didn't comply. She also stated she had secured evidence backing her claims recently and she have already posted it on the internet. Ma Dong drops his cigar in astonishment, questioning what was unfolding. Meanwhile, Alexel appears flustered and perturbed by the sudden turn of events. The reporters swam Ma Dong and bombard him with questions concerning the matter, even extending it to affairs of Longteng Real Estate, his company. Ma tries to downplay the revelation as false allegations, but the relentless reporters requested for evidence proving his innocence. Without waiting for an answer, another reporter asks if Longteng Real Estate could survive this scandal. Another directed the question to Alexel, inquiring about a relationship with Ma. Amidst the chaos, Yan received a notification from the system outlining the downfall of Longteng and suggesting its acquisition through an auction. A brief flashback reveals Anne narrating the events leading to her blackmail in its entirety to Yan Mu, which prompts him to request she joins his side and help him expose Ma. Back to the present, Yan Mu contemplates taking of Ma's company. He acknowledges that he would have been in trouble if it hadn't been for the system's assistance. Meanwhile, Alexel grits her teeth, cursing Yan Mu for being a formidable opponent. 2 days later at Yanmu's house. Mingyao is watching the news and sees the Alexel and Madong scandal. She was genuinely surprised about Alexel's involvement in the scandal, thinking she was a victim rather than an accomplice. Meanwhile, Yan is observing the system information in his room. He wondered why there hasn't been an update in the system's survival points even after taking down the Longteng real estate. He asks the system where his points had gone, but was met with silence. Yanmu gets indignant and starts to confront the system about injustice when suddenly a notification appears informing Yanmu of a system upgrade. A bunny materialized out of thin air, startling Yanmu. He regains his composure and realizes that the bunny is an entity that materialized as a result of the system upgrade. He picks up the bunny to take a closer look, but it disappeared with a cloud of smoke. In its place, a lovely young lady appears and pins Yanmu down, requesting that he gave 5-star reviews to the system for its outstanding services. Suddenly, Mingyao barges into the room, shouting about the news of Alexel's scandal. She freezes in her track when she finds a strange woman and Yanmu on the bed in an awkward position. Mingyao panics and starts to apologize, profusely fainting in the process. Yan yells at the system girl to get off him. He lays Mingyao on the bed and the system girl revives her. Mingyao opens her eyes slowly and finds an ecstatic lady looming over her. The system girl introduces herself as Xiaohu and that she is Yanmu's system partner, which plunges Mingyao further into confusion. Meanwhile, at the Fang family house, Alexel and her family are having a discussion about raising funds for her brother's wedding. The airhead brother highlighted Alexel's capability to bribe a prying reporter with 1 million, suggesting that she shouldn't have any trouble funding his wedding. Alexel's father chipped in, stating that she could try and milk some more money out of Madong since their long-term meal ticket is now gone. They urged her to find a rich man to furnish their lavish lifestyle. All this angered Alexel so much she gritted her teeth, asking why she should be the one to carry the entire family. Her hatred for everything happening around her was so intense that it materialized into a dark energy that appears on her forehead. Alexel's consciousness is dragged into a dark dimension where she comes face to face with the dark system. The system introduces itself as Gu, the dark system, and was going to grant Alexel her wish of obtaining money, fair or dirty. Gu urges Alexel to sign a contract with him, and consumed by greed, she readily accepts, expressing her desire to amass wealth beyond measure. In reality, Alexel has been inactive for a short while, catching the attention of her brother. He calls out to her and inquires about her future plans for their family. Alexel shoots a stern glance at her brother, provoking him to lash out, attributing their family's dire state to her perceived uselessness. Swiftly intervening, Alexel's mother jumps in, redirecting the focus. She apologizes to Alexel for her brother's behavior, attributing it to his young age and lack of understanding of the situation. She went on to ask the same question her son asked, wanting to know Alexel's plans for their family. In response, Alexel asks her mother to give her every detail about the boss she previously gathered information on, and assures them that she will handle everything from now on, surprising her mother, who asks if she has something figured out. Back at Yanmu's house, Yanmu is explaining everything concerning the system to Mingyao. Xiaohu explains further, elaborating on time and space and how Yanmu has now become the entire time and space of the wage earners system. Yanmu excuses himself and gets ready to step outside. Mingyao and Xiaohu ask where he was headed, and he informs them of meeting Mr. Tang about a car. Suddenly, Xiaohu kisses Mingyao on the cheek, causing Mingyao to pass out immediately. A flustered Yanmu grabs Xiaohu and asks what she has done to Mingyao. Xiaohu explains that she only modified her memory as knowing too much could put her in danger. 1 survival point is deducted from the system, which angers Yanmu further. He asks why points are taken from him when it was Xiaohu who used the ability. Xiaohu responds nonchalantly, asking how else it should be done. Suddenly, the mark on Yanmu's hand begun to burn, causing him to grab his hand in pain. Xiaohu explains that since the materialization was new, the system was bound to experience some bugs. She went on to remind Yanmu about his meeting with the car dealer and wanted to tag along. Yanmu declined, saying he wanted to go alone. Xiaohu informs him that it was impossible because she would automatically be teleported to his location when he goes too far away. Yanmu accepts defeat and agrees to take her along. Xiaohu becomes serious as she contemplates how seeds could appear so early. Yanmu and Xiaohu are walking through the street when he noticed Xiaohu has been distracted since they left the house and asked her. Xiaohu assures him it's nothing and quickly changes the topic, asking him if he wanted to exchange survival points for pills that will enhance his physical abilities. Yanmu tells her he had enough strength to handle ordinary people and didn't need enhancement. Xiaohu countered with what if his opponent was not an ordinary person. Yan tells her she could proceed, reminding her, however, that he wouldn't have any survival points left after the exchange. The arrival of Mr. Tang and another person ends their conversation as he apologizes for being late. The young man Mr. Tang came with, who was identified as Liu Z, the 28-year-old young master of the Liu family in Wangjian City, throws an arm around Tang's shoulder and made a derogatory statement. Yan asks Tang who his friend was, and he tells him it's Liu Z of Wangjian City while removing his hand from his shoulder. An offended Liu Z asks why Tang was treating him poorly even though he came a long way to collaborate with him. Tang snapped back, stating he never invited him. Yan welcomes Liu Z, intentionally shifting his focus. He then follows up with a derogatory comment of his own, deliberately making the error of referring to Liu Z as Tang's driver. This deeply angers Liu Z, who responds by threatening to gouge out Yan's eyes. Yan dismisses the threat, attributing the situation to a misunderstanding. Liu Z states that he will let it slide since Yan is inexperienced in the corporate world. Xiaohu's senses suddenly activate and she realizes Liu Z was absorbing luck from others. She quickly made an excuse and took Yanmu and Tang away from there. Liu Z voices his dissatisfaction of being ignored and Tang suggests he returned since Jiang City was too small to accommodate him. Upon their departure, Liu Z threatens the Tang family for neglecting him, claiming he only requires a single night to carry out his plan. In response, Yan counters with a threat, mentioning the Liu family's hidden secret regarding counterfeit liquor. He warns Liu Z about the potential consequences for his family if such rumors were to circulate. Liu Z is taken aback by Yan's knowledge of his family's secret. They walk away discussing cars, totally ignoring the fact that Liu Z is glaring after them. Liu Z promises to make Yanmu disappear silently. After some time, Yan and Xiaohu drive through town with Tang following in his own car. They park, disembark, and Tang expresses gratitude to Yanmu for assisting him with the Liu Z issue. Tang warns Yanmu to be cautious around Liu Z, citing the mysterious disappearances of most of his adversaries. Tang then bids farewell and departs. Xiaohu confides in Yanmu, expressing that she has something important to tell him. She informs him about the infiltration of seeds into the world. Confused, Yan inquires about her statement. She clarifies that seeds are entities from different dimensions, granting individuals special abilities in their incubation stage. These powers are akin to Yanmu's system. Despite her explanation, Yanmu remains perplexed. Xiaohu continues, explaining that these seeds will eventually ascend to become rulers of time and space, vying for control in this unclaimed space-time realm, transforming the world into a purgatorial state. Yanmu starts to comprehend the gravity of the situation and questions Xiaohu if his system, as the main god inheritance, was once the master of this unclaimed space. Xiaohu confirms this, mentioning that the god vanished after repairing time and space, but there were still cracks for seeds to exploit. She emphasizes that survival points alone weren't sufficient to uphold the stability of time and space. She further explained that Liu Z has a seed parasite on him that gives him the ability to absorb luck from others when he shakes hands with them. She appears worried that Yanmu is likely to have bad luck since he shook Liu Z's hand earlier. As Yanmu contemplates on this matter, he receives a call from his father and wonders why he was calling, wondering if he already caught wind of his breakup with Alexel. He answers the call, and his father tells him to come home because him and Yan's mother were there and are receiving some guests that were asking about him. Yan tells him he just got off work and was on his way. Upon reaching home, Yan's dad greets him at the door and inquires about the bunny perched on his shoulder. Yan explains that he discovered it on the street and decided to bring it home because he found it adorable. As soon as he sets Xiaohu down, a little girl immediately makes a beeline toward the bunny, shouting her delight. The little girl, identified as 8-year-old Yan Xiaohu, the youngest daughter of Yan Zhuang, tells his father she wanted the bunny. Yanmu finally knew who the said guests were and noted their coming to his house was several months early compared to his past life. 45-year-old Yan Zhuang, uncle of Yanmu, greeted him and stated how energetic he was becoming. 48-year-old Liu Z, Yanmu's mother, asks Yan if he remembers his uncle and his daughter. Yanmu pretends not to remember since his uncle only visits, except to take money from his father, and it just happens his father received his bonus recently. Yan Zhuang commented on how well Yanmu is doing since he was driving a nice car. Yanmu responded by saying he was just a low-ranking employee and the car was a company car and he was only using it on an errand for a higher-up. Yan Zhuang, still pressing, stated that Yan's employers must think highly of him to let him drive such expensive car. He added that he caught wind of Yan associating with Nebula Group as well, but Yan calmly affirmed it was in connection to his work. Yan Zhuang, not giving up, stated Yan is likely to have a boundless future if he is interacting with a high-ranking boss. Yan just ignores the statement and sips on a cup of tea. Seeing Yanmu's reluctance to engage, Yan Zhuang channels his attention to Yanmu's father, saying he was actually there for a particular reason.
And here we go.
He elaborates that he has stumbled on an investment deal that can earn investors 50% of their deposit in 1 month.
Boy, if you don't…
Yan's father appears reluctant to buy into such schemes. Meanwhile, Yan Xiaohu is increasingly getting on Xiaohu's nerves. Yan Zhuang urges Yan's father to invest 100,000, assuring him there is no risk. Yan's father recommends an initial investment of 20,000 as a cautious approach. Yan Zhuang, casually mentioning Yan's father's bonus, implies that the suggested amount wouldn't suffice and encourages investing more with him as a guarantor. Seeing his father's hesitation, he turns to Yan, pleading with him to convince his father. Instead of supporting the investment, Yan straightforwardly expresses that it's a terrible idea and urges his uncle to depart. Simultaneously, Xiaohu, fed up with the incessant annoyance from the little girl, scratches her face, causing the girl to wail in pain. Yan Zhuang retaliates angrily against Yanmu, insisting it's not a scam and that he shouldn't intervene and discourage others if he's not interested in investing. Attempting to calm the situation, Yanmu's father reassures Yan Zhuang that he will indeed invest. Yan persistently argues his point, expressing skepticism about family members who haven't communicated with them for over a decade, suddenly appearing with a get-rich-quick scheme. He questions why, if it were genuine, his uncle isn't investing himself and instead reaching out to his father. Yan Zhuang counters by stating that their family underwent a significant financial phase and required larger sums, otherwise, he would have invested himself. He proceeds to belittle Yanmu, suggesting that his current mindset will keep him in a state of poverty. Yan confronts him, demanding evidence of the claimed financial transformation and suggesting that he should depart with his daughter if he can't provide such proof. Slightly surprised by the challenge, Yan Zhuang swiftly regains composure and responds that he cannot reveal personal financial details. He asserts that he won't pressure Yan into investing if he's not interested. Yan wasn't willing to let Yan Zhuang off the hook so easily. He confronted him about the real situation. His son, Yan Wuxu, had accidentally offended the girlfriend of a local influential figure. Now, he was being coerced into paying 300,000 or else face the threat of assassination. This was the actual reason why Yan Zhuang was attempting to deceive Yan's father into paying off the debt. Yan Zhuang was greatly shocked and asked how Yanmu got that information. Yanmu's father attempts to ask Yan Zhuang if the information was true, but is abruptly interrupted by another scream from Yan Xiaohu. She is in tears, pointing at Xiaohu and accusing the rabbit of bullying her. Yan Zhuang hurries to his daughter's side, asking if she is alright. Yan Xiaohu then requests her father to eliminate the rabbit because she wants to eat rabbit meat. In response, Yan Zhuang angrily shouts at Xiaohu, accusing her of bullying his daughter as Xiaohu glares at him. He advances toward her. However, Xiaohu defended herself by swiping at him, scratching his hand. Yanmu cautioned him against provoking Xiaohu, advising him that it wouldn't bode well for him, given that Xiaohu was no ordinary rabbit, but a spiritual one. He comments that it was funny he was taking his frustration out on a rabbit when he failed to get money from them. Yan Zhuang picks up Yan Xiaozu and walks out, stating that Yan and his father deserve to move bricks at a construction site for a living since they don't want to invest. Yan nonchalantly bids him farewell. Yan's parents praised him for seeing through the scam, preventing any potential financial losses. Yan advised them to remain cautious in the future, emphasizing that there's no such thing as free money in this world. At the Fang residence, Alexel inquired of her mother whether she had received a deposit of 300,000 into her account. Confirming it, Alexel's mum mentioned that her brother had used the money to buy a car and appeared delighted. She asked Alexel about the source of the money. Alexel explained that she met a young boss who owned 2 apartments in Blue Water Bay and even invited their family to stay there without paying rent. Alexel's mum inquired if the young boss was from the list she had provided earlier, expressing relief that their family wouldn't have to endure hardship anymore. She going on to contact her husband to pass on the news. Alexel goes into her room and locks the door behind her. The dark system emerges from her shadow and asks her if she doesn't find their method easy. Alexel recalls the previous night when she was on a date with a young man. The system instructed her to get closer to the young man and just wait. She does, and the young man becomes extremely generous towards her. He states that he is very fond of Alexel and for no apparent reason gives her a gift of 300,000. Her thoughts are interrupted as the dark system asks if she wanted to continue down that path. Alexel agrees without a moment of hesitation. At Fidelity, Yanmu sits in his office with Xiaohu standing beside him, examining documents. Kang enters and informs Yan about the initiation of construction on the eastern land. Noticing Xiaohu, Kang inquires about her. Yan introduces her as his newly recruited secretary, and Xiaohu greets Kang courteously. Yan asks Kang if there are any other pressing matters, and Kang mentions that someone has shown interest in purchasing Ma Dong's company for 100 million. He presents the documents to Yan. Puzzled by the sudden interest in Ma's company, situated in the heart of Jiangchen City, Yan wonders why, because nobody was previously interested. He instructs Kang to oversee the process, adding that although it's centrally located, its future value will be minimal. Kang nods in agreement and further informs Yan about news regarding an auction from the black market. Curious, Yan encourages Kang to provide more details. Kang elaborates, mentioning that Feng Shui Treasures is hosting an auction, but he lacks the necessary funds to participate. He mentions hearing from friends that the auctioned items possess great spiritual significance, although he himself doesn't usually involve himself in such affairs. Understanding the situation, Yan asks about the location of the auction. Later, Yan and Xiaohu stroll through the streets. Yan notes the similarity of the area to the commercial district and ponders why the black market is located in such a place. Excited about shopping after a long time, Xiaohu expresses her anticipation. A man approaches them and inquires if they're there for the auction. Surprised, Yan asks how the man knew about their purpose. The man explains that every store on the street leads to the black market and few people who visit are merely idling around. He offers to guide them to the black market, stating he possesses ample information about the place and can prevent anyone from taking advantage of the young master. Agreeing to the offer, Yan allows the man to guide them. Arriving at the black market, the man finishes the tour with a lengthy explanation about the place. Yan is amazed by the enormity of the market and vocalizes his awe. The man informs them that the auction won't commence until evening and requests 2,000 for the tour. This makes Yan realize the true expense of the black market. Before departing, the man suggests they engage in some gambling with stones while waiting for the auction to begin. Xiaohu informs Yan that she senses a potent aura from seeds in the area. Yan responds by saying that considering the nature of the black market, a hub for various human desires driven by money, it's not surprising that seeds are drawn to it. Curiously, Xiaohu contemplates why the seeds seem to be hatching at a faster rate than expected. Their attention is diverted by a voice addressing someone as the master gambler, asking them to decide on a piece. A crowd gathers around a gambler who pressures a young man to make a choice. The young man is troubled as both stones appear identical in weight and material, leading to his uncertainty about making the right decision. The gambler's continuous taunts and pressure only intensify the young man's anxiety. Observing the situation, Yanmu confidently discerns the valuable stone from the useless one. He acknowledges the usefulness of the generating wealth skill, which allows him to instantly recognize treasures. After a while, the young man picks the valuable stone, and the gambler announces that a pick has been made and calls for people to place bets. People begin betting on two families represented by individuals choosing stones. Among them, the young man, Xiaocheng from the Xiao family, is competing against the Liu family. Despite the competition, most are placing their bets on the Liu family, citing Xiaocheng's 2-month losing streak as the reason. The gambler announces that the Liu family has already amassed 200,000 and encourages more bets, promising a tenfold return. Xiaocheng, distressed as nobody is supporting his family, finds himself in a panic. Complicating matters, his family is nearly bankrupt, having only 2 million to their name and being indebted to the Liu family for 300,000. He expresses his frustration and defeat by pounding the ground. Suddenly, Yan raises his voice and bets 300,000 on the Xiao family, shocking everyone present. The gambler clarifies that if Xiaocheng loses, Yan will have to pay 3 million. Yan calmly responds that if the stakes were higher, he wouldn't mind betting 3 million. The gambler instructs them to proceed with cracking open the rocks to determine the winner, secretly believing that Yan will lose because the entire black market has been instructed by Liu to manipulate the games. Approaching Yan, Xiaocheng whispers his suspicions about the rigged nature of the games and expresses concern over Yan's substantial bet. However, Yan reassures him, stating that he was seeking ways to spend more money anyway, indicating his confidence in the outcome. The first rock is cracked open, and the appraiser states that it contains of jasper worth about 500,000. The satisfied gambler instructs him to open Xiaocheng's 300,000 stone next, and sarcastically tells him to do it carefully. The gambler advises Xiaohu to stop giving money to Yanmu else she will go broke, implying Yan is leeching off Xiaohu whom he mistakes to be his girlfriend. Xiaohu just tells him to watch. The appraiser announces that there seemed to be some kind of ruby in Cheng's rock, surprising the gambler who thinks it's impossible. The appraiser, upon identifying the kind of ruby, shouts excitedly that it was pigeon blood red ruby, astonishing the entire crowd. Yan asks Xiaohu what this pigeon blood red was that everyone was fussing about, and Xiaohu explains it at the highest quality ruby, which is extremely rare, and bids at the starting price of 1 million. Cheng explains further that the ruby is so rare that a tiny fraction still sells at outrageous prices. The onlookers gritted their teeth for not bidding on the Xiao family. Yan turns to the gambler and makes a remark, implying they will need more than his credit card to be able to settle payment, which infuriated the gambler. He tells Yan to stop spouting nonsense and just swipe his card. He promises himself not to forget this. Yan states his intention to be coming to the black market often to make good use of his skill, while Xiaohu suggests they get some fancy food. As they walk away, Xiaocheng runs to them requesting to have a word. Yan asks him if there were any issues. Cheng introduces himself and offers to guide them to the auction. Yan agrees after doing his own introduction. Cheng discloses his intention to auction the ruby he just acquired, causing Yan to think he's not as ordinary as he appears. At the auction house, Yan, Xiaohu and Cheng are seated at the VIP section. Cheng expresses gratitude to Yanmu for trusting him. Yan states that he doesn't come off as a fraud. Cheng holds up a black card and discloses that it was what granted them entry. Yan asks how, and he explains that the entire black market only recognized 3 different black cards corresponding to 3 powers, and holders of these cards could come and go at will. He goes on to disclose information about these 3 powers, the main one being the force behind the auction itself, which was shrouded in mystery. The Xiao family, which Cheng is a member of, and in recent years the Liu family, has gained a foothold as well. He explains how the Xiao family helped the Liu family, but they used the opportunity to try and overthrow them. Like today's incident, for instance. Xiao Hu asks if it is the Liu family from Wangjian City which Liu Z belongs to, and a surprised Cheng asks if they are familiar with the individual. Yan tells him he only met him once and they are not acquainted. The gambler from before comes to inform Cheng that his ruby has been appraised and is of excellent color, with the starting bid of 5 million, and asks for his confirmation, which Cheng grants, requesting a slot to be reserved for him. Cheng contemplates the amount mentioned as starting price and hopes to sell the ruby for at least 100 million, which will give the Xiao family some hope of recovery. Later at the auction, a girl is hyping a vase and introduces it as the Ming Dynasty blue and white porcelain and calling bids. Cheng notices Yan's indifference towards the products and asks him about it. Yan explains he just came to observe and find opportunities and also find something of value. Cheng agrees that his ruby seems to be the only interesting thing at the auction today. The vase is sold for 300,000. Yan notices a dark aura around the vase and concludes it's not a good idea for someone to take it home. Next, the girl presents Cheng's pigeon blood red ruby and starts hyping it. She calls a starting bid of 5 million. The gambler could be seen explaining to Liu Z about the encounter with Xiao Cheng earlier and how he opened that ruby. People started bidding aggressively from 6 million up to 13 million. Liu Z expresses his desire to obtain the ruby as his old man saw a photo of it and was interested. He decides to shoot. The gambler suggests getting it directly from Cheng if that was the case, but Liu Z suddenly bids 60 million. Yan notices Liu Z after the shoot. Other bidders were frustrated by Liu Z increasingly shooting up the bid. Yan calls 70 million, much to Cheng's surprise. He advises Yan not to go against Liu Z because he will fail, but Xiao Hu tells him to just observe. Liu Z also notices Yan and wonders if he wasn't the poor boy from Jiangchen. The gambler informs him that it's the same kid that placed a bet of 300,000 on Cheng earlier that day. Liu Z decides to play with Yan and calls 80 million. Cheng, seeing the situation, cautions Yan again, informing him of Liu Z's all-out personality and will not stop till he gets what he wants. He also expresses skepticism about Liu Z's intention to pay any money at all. Yan assures him not to worry because he will personally make sure he pays up and immediately shoots the bid to 180 million. A perplexed Liu Z exclaims how Yan has so much money. The auctioneer starts to count down on Yan's bid of 180 million, but Liu Z calls 300 million. The gambler cautions Liu Z about their limited funds, but he ignores him. Yan is amused by Liu Z's tenacity and calls out 400 million. Liu Z calls 500 and an intense battle of bids ensues until Liu Z calls 1.2 billion. Yan, satisfied with the final bid, forfeits. The auctioneer counts down the bid and the ruby is sold to Liu Z. The gambler expresses his concern about the price, but Liu Z tells him that he wasn't planning on paying for the ruby anyway. A short while later, Liu Z can be seen arguing with a cashier over his account. The cashier informs him that 1.2 million is set by Liu Z to be deducted from his account instead of 1.2 billion, and his confirmation of the correction was needed. He goes on to caution him of the consequences if he refuses to pay up. Liu Z is confused as to why his trick didn't work this time. A dark entity, which is identified as his system, informs him that Yanmu possesses a system of higher level than himself, so his abilities were cancelled. The entity goes on to say there is no god breath present around Yanmu, implying his system is still weak and they could get rid of him. The cashier snaps Liu Z back to reality, informing him he has 3 days to reserve the ruby since the cost was very high. Liu Z makes an excuse that his card was the issue and that he will return in 2 days to pick up the ruby. Back on the street, Cheng is expressing his gratitude towards Yan. Yan says it was nothing and Liu Z was just a handful. Cheng states he was worried though, since Liu Z has a track record of paying very little for a lot more at auctions. Weirdly, no one seemed to notice this, and he has used it against a lot of people, including the Xiao family, bringing them to their current state. Suddenly Liu Z appears from around a corner, making a derogatory statement about Cheng's incompetence. He directs his attention towards Yanmu, asking if Cheng didn't tell him going against him was tantamount to getting oneself into a miserable situation. Cheng tries to de-escalate the situation by pulling Yan away, but Yan assures him not to worry as he advances towards Liu Z. Cheng insists, but Xiaohu holds him back, telling him to let Yan handle the situation. Xiaohu contemplates on how the seed has a weak aura and that she was worried for nothing. Liu Z activates the seed and tries to punch Yan, but Yan counters with an activated punch of his own. Yan's system flares as the punch connects, surprising Xiaohu. Liu Z's system wails in pain, urging Liu Z to kill Yan. Yan, still covered in his aura, taunts Liu Z, asking him if he dare to go against him with a system which hasn't even materialized its entity. Liu Z promises to eliminate him and take his powers. But before he could finish his statement, Yan delivers a hard punch to his abdomen, which causes him to coil up in pain. The punch seemed to affect his entity as well, who begs Liu Z to kill him because it was losing power. Liu Z shouts at Yan, cursing him out for devouring the envoy, which baffles Yan, wondering what an envoy is. Liu Z states that Yan is quite naive and offers to teach him all about the entities if he brings out his own. Yan kicks him, telling him he was in no position to bargain. Liu Z's entity is almost losing it at this point, stating half its power is gone. Meanwhile, Xiaohu is also wondering why her powers are gone and realizes it's been borrowed by Yanmu. Liu Z starts to cloak himself with his entity as he promises a different outcome next time. Cheng observes all this, wondering what these auras are. Yan dashes at Liu Z, but he escapes. Cheng approaches Yan, not sure what just happened. Suddenly Yan starts to feel lightheaded and he realizes the strength he displayed a while ago are gone and his attributes have returned to normal. Cheng asks if he's alright, which Yan confirms. He decides to get more information from Xiaohu later. Cheng draws his attention to the fact that something was amiss and Yan notices that Xiaohu has reverted back to her bunny form. He tries to play it off by saying it was his pet and he carries everywhere, but Cheng, not convinced, assures him he has had his fair share of strange things and Yan need not worry because his secret is safe with him. He compliments Yan's skills and invites him to be the appraiser of the Xiao family after he revives it. Yan claims he is a businessman and will only come to the black market if it presented opportunities. Cheng agrees and adds that he has a gift for Yan as thank you for his help today and promises to bring it to him later. Yan gives his business card to Xiao Cheng, thinking to himself Cheng is a good person and having a great relationship with his family. Once they get their stuff together, will be a smart thing to do. Cheng thanks him and asks his leave after giving him directions out of the black market. Once they were alone, Yan asks Xiaohu if her regression had anything to do with his sudden power surge. No response comes, so he directs his question to the system, but is met with a system error. After trying a couple of times to get some information, but failing, he gives up and decides to go home and deal with it later. After 3 days there was still no activity from the system. Yan does a quick calculation and concludes that he should be left with 12 survival points by now. His thought is interrupted by a call from Ming. While later at the Blue Water Bay community, Yan is inspecting a house with Ming, who query him on why he didn't want to see a house he himself bought. And he responds by saying all houses are pleasing to the eye as long as one lives comfortably, thus there was nothing to be excited about. Regardless, Ming still expresses her delight and desire to buy her own someday. They run into Alexel and Zufei, and Yan asks what she was doing there. Zufei asks if Alexel isn't Yan's ex and ridicules him for leaving such a catch for a college student. Yan responds with a one-liner and walks past the duo, dragging Ming along. Zufei, not willing to give up the chance to humiliate Yan, shouts after him, questioning why he sold Ma Dong's company, which he recently acquired. Yan responds that the company was too small to thrive under his management and he would have crushed it if he kept it. After they left the two, Ming asks Yan if he indeed runs a company, to which Yan responds that he won the lottery and bought a company. Ming, finally understanding the situation, states Alexel was after Yan's money then. Yan cautions her to avoid both of them since neither of them has good intentions. He contemplates how Zufei has a deathly aura around him and how Alexel appears to be seated, which can't bode well. Mingyao interrupts his thoughts, informing him of tickets to an amusement park she had secured the previous day and invites Yan to go with her since it was the last day, and Yan agrees. At the amusement park, Mingyao is listing a plethora of activities they can indulge in. Yan, however, doesn't seem thrilled by these ideas. Approaching a bear mascot, they receive a flyer before heading towards the air rifle game. As they depart, the mascot removes the bear head, revealing a young lady who takes a sip of water. She contemplates whether she can meet her deadline and distribute all the remaining flyers. Reflecting on a warning from a man who threatened consequences if she failed to complete the distribution within a week, she worries about the task ahead. Meanwhile, at the air rifle game, Yan had obliterated the high score and receives a huge stuffed panda. The operator compliments Yan on his skill, but secretly wishes he doesn't come back to his stall. Mingyao cuddles the panda adorably as Yan asks if she was satisfied with it. Their conversation is interrupted by a commotion nearby, and they turn to see the mascot being dragged away by some hooligans amidst her protest. Mingyao recognizes her as her senior and a talented singer. The hooligans chloroform the young lady, stating she only had 2 days left to deliver, so it was pointless trying to meet the deadline. Mingyao shouts at the hooligans to leave the girl alone. Yan passes Xiaohu over to Ming and strides towards the group of hooligans. Firmly, he urges them to leave the girl alone or face police intervention. One of the men demands to know who he is and how he dares to interfere in their affairs. As Yanmu tries to call the police, the man slaps the phone out of his hand, warning him with a threatening gesture. Summoning his companions, the hooligan crew advances on Yan, cautioning him to reconsider his actions before attempting heroism. Concerned about the escalating situation, Mingyao decides to call the police. However, a storekeeper warns her that such efforts would likely be in vain as these troublemakers consistently evade the authorities. Meanwhile, the men initiate an attack on Yan, asserting their dominance over the area controlled by a certain boss Huo. Swiftly dodging blows, Yan counterattacks, swiftly incapacitating one of the men. Despite a sneaky attempt from one assailant, Yan reacts with lightning speed, delivering a powerful blow. In a matter of moments, he subdues all the hooligans, confidently asserting his superiority. Turning his attention to the unconscious girl, Yan gently cradles her head in his arms. Just as 2 policemen arrive at the scene, demanding an explanation for the chaos. Later that night, at the hospital, the police take statements from Yan and Mingyao in the ward where the girl is being treated. Yan mentions the mention of Boss Huo, a notorious figure involved in drug trafficking, reflecting on Qinyong's role in exposing him. The police reveal Huo's facade as an entertainment company boss while suspecting his illicit activities. They implore Yan to share any information he might have on Huo. Unexpectedly, the kidnapped girl, who had been unconscious, startles everyone by revealing she had regained consciousness earlier. She provides the police with evidence and details about Mr. Huo's criminal operations, narrating her encounters with the gang and their surveillance on her even after her escape. Grateful for her assistance, the police promise to keep her identity anonymous. She offers further cooperation and shows indifference towards Huo's safety. Impressed by her bravery, Yan offers her a job in his company once she has recovered. Curious, she asks for his identity, and a policeman identifies him as the man who saved her from the thugs. Yan takes his leave and, returning to an empty home, wondering if his parents had returned. Suddenly, a message appears, notifying Yan that the area is secure and the system is initiating a reboot. Yan finds himself transported to an unfamiliar dimension, facing a colossal headless statue that dominates the space around him. It's evident this place differs greatly from any he's visited before, exuding an imperial aura. Upon the walls, peculiar inscriptions catch his eye, resembling a script he ponders might be Pangu. Upon closer inspection, he realizes it is indeed inscribed in Pangu. Unexpectedly, Xiaohu materializes and enlightens Yan, explaining that the writing depicts the creation of gods, with Pangu being merely an incarnation on Earth. She prompts Yan to read the text by placing his hand on the wall. As Yan complies and touches the wall, a flood of information inundates his mind. Since my inception, the world has known tranquility, time and endless expanse. My sole purpose? Amassing rare treasures and observing the world's evolution. However, a visitor from outside the sky suddenly arrived and wanted to seize what I had created. For over 10 days, I battled these transgressors, thieves besieging my treasure trove. Hindered by foes, I faced severe injury. I slashed more than 10,000 thieves in anger, and I was also seriously injured, but the world has no kai fought me to recover. Chaos ruptured, allowing futile infiltrations of pests. I self-sealed, safeguarding the world, perpetually reincarnating, awaiting the time of rebirth. Yan reflects, stating, "Today, these foreign visitors are referred to as seeds. If one combats 10,000, they prove worthy of the title of Creator God." Xiaohu interjects, clarifying that they are the outcome of the hatched seeds, dwelling within the realms of time and space, thus earning the title Space and Time Lords. These beings possess the capability to obliterate entire worlds. The inscription on the wall further details, "This cave holds my countless treasures, yet heed this warning. Take none from here, nor let harm befall them." Yan, feeling outraged by this revelation, voices his frustration at the deity's apparent stingy nature. He questions Xiaohu about the purpose of being brought to that place if he was forbidden from taking anything. Xiaohu clarifies that Yan was dispatched to that realm to undergo his initial trial designated by the deity following the system's arrangement. The system presents a task labeled Confronting the Demon and offers rewards. Kanglang's mental method. She elaborates that Yan's challenge will involve facing a mind demon, but the specific type or nature of the demon will only be revealed to him during the trial itself. Yan asks for more details about the Kanglang's mental method. Xiaohu explains that this technique, attributed to Kanglang, was created by the god of creation, and according to legend, it possesses the ability to eliminate vast numbers of troops in a single strike. She elaborates further, describing it as the fundamental cornerstone of all martial arts. Enthusiastic, Yan wonders if obtaining it would grant him invincibility. Said Xiaohu urges him to weigh his decision carefully. If he decides to proceed with the trial, she directs him to click yes on the system pop-up. Yan smashes on yes, with much more force than necessary, reminiscent of how you might hopefully smash the subscribe and like buttons.
I did it first.
Just to clarify, that's genuinely part of the story. I swear I did not make that up. That's indeed part of the story.
Boy, if you don't—
The system notifies him of the trial's commencement, imposing a 60-minute time constraint. Suddenly, the surroundings start to swirl, causing dizziness that prompts Yan to tightly shut his eyes. Amidst this disorientation, a cry for help reaches his ears. In an abrupt cascade, disturbing voices from Yanmu's past surged around him, an ensemble of echoes flooding through his thoughts. Within this tumultuous symphony, a mirrored reflection of himself emerged, a specter compelling him to listen keenly to the concealed whispers within his soul. Struggling with the overwhelming din, Yanmu crumbled to his knees, clutching his head in excruciating torment. Amidst the cacophony, fragments of his own voice emerged, resurfacing memories of the moment he turned away the Fang family's offer. The doppelganger reinforced the severity of Alexel's actions, joining forces with Ma to frame him, painting a vivid picture of her unyielding pursuit of retribution. The haunting apparition of his frail father, offering his meager pension, infused Yanmu with distress, causing a cold sweat to break across his brow. Mockingly, the doppelganger taunted him, insinuating that no measure of wealth could absolve his painful memories, subtly hinting at the allure of seeking vengeance. Amidst this emotional turmoil, Yanmu pledged to himself that he would not allow the past to dictate his future. In a surge of determination, he lunged towards his doppelganger, launching a punch that dissolved into the emptiness of its form. As the doppelganger began its ethereal fade, it cast a lingering gaze towards Yanmu, acknowledging his youthfulness before fading into oblivion. Meanwhile, Xiaohu anxiously monitored the system screen, noting the dwindling 5 minutes before the critical threshold. With 99 cycles already elapsed, she fretted that another cycle might drain the last vestiges of the god of creation's power, fervently hoping that Yanmu could endure a bit longer. Amidst her concern, Yan's voice cut through her thoughts, revealing his envelopment in a radiant golden aura. She inquired if he had employed the mental skill, to which Yan affirmed. Yet, despite his achievement, a sense of disappointment lingered within Yan, yearning for a list of rewards to choose from or an opportunity for some form of shopping spree. The enigmatic entity elucidated that the Kanglang mental method, also known as the 9-layer mind technique, was comprehended during the trial. It implored Yan to focus intently, as he was about to expound upon the technique's intricacies in detail, assuring him that he wouldn't repeat the explanation. The deity continues with enigmatic verses. 9 turns into 1, 2 ceremonies merge as 1, 3 sects of heaven and earth, 4 cardinal seas in the vertical and horizontal, 5 cranes and crows, 6 steps of a dragon, 7 points of the world. As the deity recites this riddle, Yan reflects that despite not receiving specific guidance on practicing the technique, he feels inherently connected to it. It grants him the ability to attack, defend, dodge, and maintain overall agility simultaneously. Amidst the flood of information in his mind, Yan is awestruck by the deity's capability to vanquish tens of thousands of enemies with a single move. An impatient Xiaohu reminds him about the diminishing time. Yan agrees, and they are instantly teleported back to Yanmu's house. Curious, Yan checks his status window and is surprised to find a spontaneous increase in his attributes and over 2,000 survival points reserved. He queries Xiaohu about this unexpected augmentation. Xiaohu explains her role as merely that of the system and clarifies that it's the deity who set all the rules within the system. She then hijacks Yan's room, expressing her delight at finally being able to rest. Confused, Yan wonders why he's being ousted from his own room. He notices a book lying on the ground where they materialized and considers if it might be an additional reward. Curiously, he picks it up and begins reading its contents. After brushing through a few of the pages, Yan deems the information useless. But suddenly he remembers Tang Ning was obsessed with practicing martial arts and decides the content of the book might be able to help him out. Meanwhile, Xiaohu is receiving instructions from the deity to find his scattered pieces and revive him. But Xiaohu was rather interested in a name change and requested for one. But the deity's silly suggestions infuriates her, and she tells him to go away. The deity agrees to indeed not contact her again until his resurrection as master of time and space, and that it disappears without a trace. At the Tang household, Yanmu is having a discussion with Tangning. Tangning asks him about Xiaohu and why he isn't with her today. Yan tells him she had to run an errand and asks if Tang would like to meet her again. Yanmu dwell over the disappearance of Xiaohu, the moon rabbit, but her system is still bound to him, albeit mechanical now. He wonders about her whereabouts and if she could now materialize a long distance away from him. Tang's voice snaps him out of his thoughts. Yan apologizes for zoning out and quickly redirects the conversation to the reason for his visitation. Yan tells Tangning that in addition to their proposed business collaboration, he brought Tang a personal gift and pulls out the book from earlier, handing it to Tang. He explains that it was a fragment of a lost boxing technique he accidentally acquired and was certain might be of value to Tangning. He further apologizes that he only got a fragment and not the actual technique, but Tang was ecstatic about the gift and tells Yan it was of great value to the Tang family whether it was a fragment or not. Yan expressed gratitude, acknowledging Tangning's discerning eye for quality and feeling glad to offer his assistance. Inquisitive, Tangning questioned Yan about his martial arts prowess, recalling their prior encounter at the investment conference. Yan, however, modestly brushed off the topic, claiming to be an amateur in the realm of martial arts. Refusing to accept Yan's dismissive stance, Tangning declared that as future business partners, he intended to delve deeper into Yan's abilities. Playfully, he challenged Yan to a friendly sparring session, prompting a nervous chuckle from Yan. Soon after, they found themselves facing off in the Tang family's backyard. Tangning explained that this was his training ground and encouraged Yan not to hold back. Yan revealed he had recently acquired a new skill and sought guidance from Tangning. The sparring commenced swiftly, with Tangning launching a sudden attack. Yan managed to deflect the attack, executing a swift maneuver to toss Tangning over his shoulder. To Yan's surprise, Tangning exhibited agile reflexes, landing back on his feet effortlessly. Acknowledging each other's skills, they engaged in multiple rounds, their efforts leaving them panting and sweating. Feng Shui praised Yan's abilities, suggesting that he could rank in the top 3 at the Ancient Martial Arts World Tournament. Yan laughed off the suggestion, urging Feng Shui to use his normal name and not be overly formal. Agreeing, Feng Shui invited Yan to return inside to finalize their collaboration agreement. Later, back at Nebula Group, Yan found his business partner, Jinyoung, working late. Yan shared the good news of securing the collaboration with the Tang family and presented the relevant documents. Jinyoung was pleasantly surprised by the agreement and its implications. Yan inquired if there were additional requirements, but Jinyoung assured him the existing agreement sufficed and vowed not to disappoint Yan. As Yan prepared to depart, Jinyoung stopped him, expressing a desire to discuss one final matter. Jinyoung revealed their team's decision to transfer Nebula Group to Yan's name, citing their technical expertise but lack of sales and management acumen. Yan, taken aback, queried if Jinyoung was concerned about any ulterior motives. However, Jinyoung conveyed confidence in Yan's capabilities and believed the company would benefit from his leadership during its expansion. Agreeing to the proposal, Yan articulated his plans to expand Nebula Group's horizons, specifically into mobile devices, aiming to dominate the market with innovative features and superior quality. He suggested relocating Nebula Group's offices to Fidelity's main building, eliciting Jinyoung's delight. This marks the conclusion of this segment. If you enjoyed this video, kindly subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Most importantly, leave a comment suggesting how the channel can improve. And also let me know if you like the meme inserts or I'm out of mind thinking it makes the read more interesting. Your feedback will be much appreciated. Stay tuned for our upcoming video.